learned a lot about fair use. Now let's see how it plays out in some real-world situations. Meet my sister Emily. She's learning all about fair use in law school.
Hi, Maggie. Hey, Alex.
Hey.
We know that fair use is decided on a case-by-case basis, weighing together the 4 factors. Sometimes it's simple to figure out. Sometimes it's complicated. Here's an easy one. When we write a book report, we use quotes from the book in our report, right? We also quote other writing, like from articles or books or blogs, in the essays and papers we write for school. When you think about it, this is copying. We lift some of the exact words someone else wrote and use them in our own work.
So, does that mean it's copyright infringement? Or that we need permission from the author each time?
Sheesh, I hope not.
Right. Fair use to the rescue. This kind of copying counts as fair use. In fact, teaching and scholarship are specifically mentioned in the law that defines fair use. So fair use shows up a lot in education. For example, using someone's creative work for a school project or for teaching is generally a fair use. Here's another common fair use scenario. We've all seen news reports that play video clips from other sources. News reporting is another purpose specifically mentioned in the law, so using short clips for news reporting is generally fair use. We also see fair use in action in commentary and criticism. Sometimes you need to copy or show part of someone else's work in order to critique or comment on it.
Critique? Sounds boring.
Are you sure? Watch how Jon Stewart gives some smackdown commentary of a CNN broadcast. To make his point, he has to show clips of the broadcast.
Here's the problem. Because CNN put all their news eggs in the Jodi Arias basket, they were forced to cover other stories, including another good crime drama, the kidnappings in Cleveland, from their current locations. Ashley Banfield from a parking lot in Phoenix, reporting via satellite with Nancy Grace, who seemed to be in the same parking lot in Phoenix. I'm basing that, of course, on the fact that the cars that are passing by Ashley Banfield's location box also appear to be passing directly into Nancy Grace's box. That bus is in each shot at the same time. Therefore, ipso facto, those two people had to be in the pretty much same spot. Or we just saw actual footage of Phoenix's elusive 7-mile-long bus nest monster. The locals call him Old Bussy. But according to the Atlantic Wire, Banfield and Grace were actually a mere 6 parking spaces away from each other. Meaning, Bussy isn't real. Who does that? The audacity of something even resembling a news organization to pretend that a correspondent is in an entirely different location, when in fact that correspondent is standing no more than a few feet away. Maybe in the very same studio, for all we know.
Jon Stewart is definitely giving commentary on CNN's reporting. Notice how the clips used are long enough to make his point, but they would never substitute for the original, and they make up a small percentage of the whole news broadcast.
Definitely not boring.
Another common fair use situation is when artists take someone else's work and completely transform it into something new and original. This filmmaker created a 24-hour film entirely from short clips of other movies where the time of day was shown in the clip. All the clips put together make a kind of 24-hour clock. It played as an art installment in a museum. Let's watch a bit.
Yeah, they'll be useless. No one cares what we have to say.
Hundreds of small craft, led by 6 fire tugs making fountains of water, formed an escort flotilla and 4 Wasp helicopters flew past in salute. In the city, the Financial Times Ordinary Share Index was down 10 points an hour ago at 529.
This uses only very short clips, and none of the clips could ever substitute for the original movie. This filmmaker has a strong fair use claim because he transformed the original clips into something completely new and different and definitely original. These are all pretty straightforward fair use scenarios, but sometimes there's a dispute about whether a situation is really fair use or not. Look at these. Tom Forsyth, an absurdist artist, made a series of art photos called Food Chain Barbie.
Dude, Barbie's in a blender.
Food Chain Barbie is a series of art photos featuring helpless Barbies in blenders, fondue pots, and enchilada pans. No surprise that Mattel, the toy company that owns Barbie, didn't like Forsyth's art. Mattel sued for copyright infringement, and they went to court. The court ruled this is fair use because Food Chain Barbie is a parody with messages about Barbie's influence on gender roles, and the pictures do not displace Barbie doll sales. The court said, however one may feel about his message, whether he's wrong or right, his photographs parody Barbie and everything Mattel's doll has come to signify. Cases like this established that parodies are a special kind of commentary and generally qualify as fair use. As a result, we get new creative work like this.
An old man turned 98. He won the lottery and died the next day from a severe paper cut from his lottery ticket.
Do you recognize it?
Sorta sounds like that Alanis Morissette song, Ironic. But it's different.
Right. These YouTubers rewrote the song to make a parody that points out Morissette's misunderstanding of ironic. They take the situations that she describes as ironic that really aren't ironic and makes them truly ironic.
It's a black fly in your Chardonnay that was specifically purchased to repel black flies. It's a death row pardon that causes your demise because you leave the jail and get hit by a bus. And that really is ironic.
The point of a parody is to comment on the original by poking fun at it. So you need to use enough of the original that the parody makes sense. Copying from the original to make a parody is fair use. Here's another real-life example that went to court and was ultimately ruled to be fair use. Have you ever seen one of these?
Nope. Is it... I have no idea.
This is a Sony Betamax videocassette recorder. Back in 1984, this was the hot new technology. It did something completely mind-blowing that no one had ever thought possible. It recorded TV shows from your TV. For the first time, people could record a TV show to watch at a later time. Some of the TV show owners thought that copying TV programs at home was copyright infringement. But the Supreme Court decided recording a TV show so you can watch it at a later time is a legitimate fair use. Remember, the first fair use factor looks at the nature and purpose of your use, and it favors uses that are non-commercial. By the way, non-commercial means you're not trying to make money with it. The court said when Betamax owners record programs to watch at a more convenient time, this kind of time shifting is okay, since it's personal and non-commercial. Of course, sometimes courts decide that a use does not qualify as fair use. When that happens, it's called copyright infringement. Remember how fair use allows you to quote other people's material?
Sure.
Well, let's go all the way back to 1841 to a really important case. It's especially important because the judge in this case laid out the 4-factor legal test for fair use that courts still use today.
Huh.
So, a quick thank you to Judge Joseph Story for our 4-factor test. Here's what happened. A guy named Jared Sparks wrote a 12-volume history of George Washington.
Dang, that's long.
Yup, literally thousands of pages. Later, this other guy, Charles Wentworth Upham, copied 353 pages from Jared Sparks' history into his own biography of George Washington. His was only 2 volumes. The court decided that this was too much. Lifting 353 pages from Sparks' book was not a fair use. Remember, the third factor takes into consideration how much of the original you use. And in this case, it was too much. And remember how news reporting is a favored fair use purpose? Well, fast forward to 1979. U.S. President Gerald Ford was about to publish his memoirs with Harper & Row Publishers. Time magazine arranged for an exclusive to give readers an early peek at some of the important parts of the book. But another magazine, The Nation, got a leaked copy of the memoir and quickly ran an article featuring excerpts of the juiciest parts. That caused Time to cancel its exclusive and stop payment to the publisher. So the publisher turned around and sued The Nation for copyright infringement. In court, The Nation said that publishing the excerpts was fair use. After all, it was reporting on material that was clearly newsworthy. But the Supreme Court said, no way. The magazine had copied the most important parts of the memoir, the heart of the work, and caused major harm to the publisher's profits. The court rejected the idea that this was fair use and ordered The Nation to pay damages for its infringement.
Ouch.
Sometimes it's hard to know in advance how a court would rule. Check out this really current situation. Richard Prince took Instagram users' photos, altered the captions, and displayed them in a New York art gallery.
Really?
It gets better. Prince sold the pictures for $90,000 each.
Whoa.
The Insta users were not asked or paid for their photos. Prince claims this is fair use because he was making new art out of the photos. One of the photographers, Donald Graham, disagreed and sued Prince and the art gallery that showed the work. As of May 2016, we don't know the outcome. What do you think? The bottom line for all of these examples is, fair use means you don't always need permission to reuse or copy someone's creative work. Sometimes fair use will seem pretty obvious, and sometimes it won't. If you're not sure, you'll have to think through the 4 factors and use your critical thinking. Ask yourself key questions like, could what I'm doing affect the artist's sales by substituting for the original? Am I using more than I need? Am I doing something entirely new and different with the work? Or am I just recirculating the original? In some ways, it would be easier if we had a black and white list of what's fair use and what's not, but that would mean trouble for new situations that nobody anticipated before. Remember the Betamax case? Nobody thought of recording TV shows before Betamax came along, so of course it wasn't written into the law. But the fair use test was flexible enough to cover it. And fair use might make it possible for you to do some creating of your own someday.
So, what are you going to create next?